in studio, right?
Yes.
When the something semblance of a vetting was about to start, and that was when Omani Boama was not there.
Okay.
And then they had opted to go with Emmanuel Kodwejekum. And so, and then they asked for 5 minutes break. The chairman said, Mr. Nomini, give me 5 minutes. So I left the studio and went to Parliament. Now, I was there when this altercation was happening. In fact, it just didn't involve, if you look at the video critically, you realize that it involved many people. So there was Bernard Mona in the video, there was MFI in the video, Anodom Pre, and then Jerry Ahmed as well, who is the deputy to Anodom Pre, were all in there. Now, this was what happened. After the back and forth about we will vet, we won't vet, we will vet, we won't vet.
I'll do, don't do.
I'll do, don't do. The minority indicated that it's aware that the majority had the numbers to go ahead with the vetting. In all the conversation, it was not about the minority saying that it will not be party to the process. The minority was impressing upon the committee to abandon the entire exercise until the issue, the claims of Oliver are dealt with. Then ground started shifting. That, you know what, let's take a break. Let's go into a conclave and have a brief conversation. The chairman then said that, I'm not for going for a break. Because his attention has been drawn by the firm report to the fact that whenever there are disagreements at a committee setting, you put the matter to a vote.
Exactly.
And then the majority will carry the day. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So if indeed the minority members were insisting that the exercise should grant to a halt, chairman, reference those aspects of the standing orders and then let's just go. And then you remember what the chairman said, that we are not there yet. That it had not gotten to a point where those provisions in the other standing orders will be triggered. So he was impressed upon to take the break. It was when that 2 minutes, because the chairman mentioned that one of members, we are breaking for 2 minutes. It was during that 2 minutes that so Frank Anodompre, who had assured the nominee that everything that was happening was not because of him, I'm talking about Omani Boama, that it just happened that he's the one in the seat and that these matters ought to have been raised the day before. But the chairman said he needed to understand the issues and then also get the buy-in of the entire committee. Yeah. And so it should be deferred to yesterday. So he had also gone, he had once again, Frank Anodompre gone to Omani Boama to engage him because they were all one student leaders, right? National Student Union leaders. That sent him closer to where MFA had Castle, Obubia, and then Joyce Bawa Mukhtari, and many others were seated. So I think MFA said, just go and vet the nominee. As in, the committee should do its work. And then in the process, he also used micro-minority. He used the word micro-minority. It was then that Anodompre came in and said, oh, in essence, why, to paraphrase, why refer to us as micro-minority? MFA said, oh, but there were others, including your leader, who has referred to your side as micro-minority, so it's not a big deal. That, and then another person said he will take this up. Her reference of his side as micro-minority, that he will take it up. That triggered the lady further. And so where, and I'm sure that's the point that everybody pays attention to, where she uses the word silly child. Somebody had inquired that, like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? Right? Is it more like, forget this silly child, or is it not this silly child? And then another player comes in and says, referring to me as silly? And said, did I mention your name? You heard all that. Did I mention your name? Did I mention your name? Blah, blah, blah. So eventually, and that did not play out in the recording, she realized the enormity of the issues and what had transpired. So she then came back and then apologized. But according to Jerry Ahmed, who says he is an eyewitness to whatever happened. After the apology, she used some other words, descriptions.
And where is that coming from? He said that on
the floor of Parliament.
Ugh.
Some other words that were unprintable.
After the apology.
So the apology was half-hearted, right? And that apology could not be accepted. And so after this episode, they taking it up indeed happened, and then Anodom Prayer went to Parliament, floor of Parliament, and then asked of leave of the Speaker to bring the matter to the attention of the House. As we speak, the Privileges Committee has not been constituted. And so he said that before the constitution of the Privileges Committee, the Speaker should give consequential orders. But to him, his prayer is that the matter be referred to the Privileges Committee, because the lady used words that we are not even aware of. Because in another press service, which we'll bring to our listeners, he had mentioned other words.
That he says we should refer to the video. The video we have watched, there's no such words.
No, there's no such word or such other words in the video. Yes. And so that it was not just an attack on him, it was an attack on Parliament.
And we're chewing ballot papers.
Sorry. No, I get that. No, it's good. It's good. It's helpful. That's the conversation on social media, to be honest with you.
When we were chewing ballot papers, it wasn't an indictment of Parliament.
Exactly. Okay. And many other things as well. So, therefore, many people took the opportunity to speak to this. Unfortunately, and I understand the apprehension, Harun Adisu, I think, is being burnt. Incinerated is the word I should use. He's been incinerated, right? But I don't know what other people have okay, so it's Harun Adisu. But in what you are going to play to us, there are many others who made similar arguments.
Let's hear from Anodom.
Yes.
When we finish hearing from Anodom, when he makes a claim of the video, we'll play the video again.
Yeah.
And then audio of the video again. Then we'll bring in Comfort Doyo, who also made an appeal that, let's not escalate it to the Privileges Committee level. So let's hear Anodom first, when he made the complaints to Parliament, where he talks about how he was being crucified in his own backyard.
This morning, we were on our usual duty on the appointment committee. There was some disagreement amongst us. So the respected First Deputy suspended sitting, and we engaged. When we came back, minds were not meeting. So we suggested humbly to the First Deputy that we should further take a break. So we must fully disclose that the nominee who was before us, Donobo Buama, is a long-time friend, way back in our leadership at the news. So, in the face of the disagreement, I felt I should reach out to my friend and tell him that it's not personal, it's not about him, but it's just a normal disagreement with parliamentarians, so he shouldn't worry. This matter will be dealt with. I approached him only to have a rude shock of my life. And colleagues, we need to take these matters in good stride. We are all MPs. What has happened to me today can happen to any of you. A lady I have never met in my life, only later to be told she's called Victoria Mfa Hardcastle, who is the acting chief executive officer for the Petroleum Commission. Speaker, I didn't say a word to her. I didn't provoke her in any way. Suddenly, insults were being held at me. Silly, stupid, useless. At a point, I thought they were referring to somebody. I turned. Well, if you doubt it, listen to me when I'm done. The video is all over social media. Speaker, I felt abused. Please address me. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, I felt very abused. And there I felt, how can a man be killed in his own backyard? Even if there should be any crucifixion, the crucifixion should not be done in my own house. So reasonably, I reach out to the chair of the committee and reported same matter. Members who were present, who heard it, who witnessed it, all came to corroborate my story. I think, Speaker, I want to put this on record, that even though she passed by to render a certain lame apology, it is totally unacceptable. Speaker, I am compelled to resort to this approach. Ordinarily, I wouldn't have done it. And when I came in, I saw my colleague, the Honorable Governors, who I'm very close to, leader of the House. Forgive me, I didn't tell you about this. I related to him that, have I done something wrong to this lady? Why would I be abused to this extent? Where I haven't said anything. I haven't provoked you in any way. So not to belabor the point, I feel my reputation is lowered by these attacks. And the video, thankfully, there were good people around who recorded it. The video is all over. And traditional media houses are showing the video. And don't forget, it's not about me. It's about an institution called Parliament. And so because we have not taken any action, people think they can subject Parliament and turn Parliament into a punching bag. This is unfortunate. And I'm told she's a lawyer. I was surprised the attitude she put out. So I am respectfully bringing this to your notice. I'm humbly inviting you to make consequential orders and to ensure that this matter is dealt with ultimately.
So that is the Minority Chief Whip. He said that he was bringing it to the Speaker's attention, wanted urgent action taken over it, urgent action taking on it. Well, so you heard him say, he said that the lady called him stupid, foolish, all manner of things. They're useless, among others. He said that all manner of unprintable words. We should go and watch the video. We will hear it. Well, I want you to also listen to the audio extracted from the video and let me know what you hear.
You are threatening me that you take me because you are who?
I'm who? Why?
My friend, don't bring yourself.
What's the meaning of that?
What do you mean you are taking me on? What does that phrase mean?
You hold us micro.
But you are micro minority. Doesn't Afenyo himself use that phrase? What bring yourself? I don't have time for that. You think you can bully me here? Hey, Not this silly time when I bully me.
You heard the word she used. What called me silly? She called me silly.
Are you a silly child?
No. We will deal with this matter. You called me silly.
I don't have time for you.
No.
Did I mention your name? Why are you taking your hat on your head? Did I mention your name? You that you were fighting on TV about this your seat, you are coming to flex your head. Did I mention your name?
You cannot call me silly.
Did I mention your name? Did I mention your name? You can carry a cross you want to carry. I'm going.
People are not recording.
If you
They are not recording. They are not recording.
So, I mean, I'm sure you heard for yourself what were in the words that were included and those that were not. Let's now hear from Comfort Doyo. Is that Gansa in addition? Yes, Comfort Doyo Gansa. She is the first deputy
Majority
Chief Whip in relation to the concerns that were raised by Anodompe. Have a listen.
Mr. Speaker, as a leader of the women in this caucus, I will plead with our Chief Whip that he should leave it for me. I'm going to call the lady in question and advise her on how to handle issues. He's not a member of parliament, but she's a woman. I'm a woman, a leader of the women caucus. He should just, it's a man and a woman issue. Mr. Speaker, the Chief Whip, the woman has apologized already there. So leave the rest for me as leader of the Women Caucus, Mr. Speaker, so that I will advise her on how to handle issues when he's in our premises in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I'm just pleading with the Chief Whip that we should just leave this case so that as a Women Caucus, we invite her and then advise her appropriately.
Okay, Ibrahim. So
Yes.
that's Comfort Doyo Ganza.
Yes.
The first deputy.
Yes.
Majority chief whip.
Yes.
Right.
Before then, Governor Kwame Abuja, who is the Minister for Roads and Highways, the immediate past majority chief whip, had indicated that the lady had apologized.
Yeah.
Immediately, the altercation happened, and so he will have wished that the matter was not escalated further. And then the Comfort Doyo Ganza Kujo came in to talk about the fact that even though the said lady is not a member of parliament, the women will take it up, and she will personally ensure that the matter is addressed. And so that was what Doyo Ganza Kujo mentioned. But of course, there were murmurings from the minority side, especially given the fact that the said lady is not an MP, right? And then the complainant is not from her side. And the complainant is not a member of the Women Caucus. Another pray. It's not a member of the Women Caucus. And they were still insisting. In fact, there's a lady who also spoke, member of parliament for Etiwa West, a fresh member of parliament, a lady from the MPP side, the minority side, who mentioned that though she's a woman, what happened was appalling, and that the rudiment of parliamentary business must be allowed to stand. Yeah, so Doyo's appeal was among many other appeals that were made.
Okay, Agaga also made an appeal.
Yes, Agaga came in. Yeah.
Let's hear from him.
Mr. Speaker, with all the statements and the prayers made by members of parliament.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member for Tamale South and Minister for Education has made a very profound statement, which goes to mitigation. And I want to add my voice to his plea that admittedly the lady in question acted in a manner which is contemptuous of this House. But, Mr. Speaker, should the power of this House to punish for contempt be exercised whenever it is committed? The answer is no. Parliament's power to commit for contempt must be exercised sparingly. Mr. Speaker, I've been in this House for quite some time, and I remember vividly when Black Rasta described members of this House as weed smokers. He was rightly cited for contempt. But, Mr. Speaker, this House mitigated his punishment because even before he was brought before the Privileges Committee, he had found it necessary to render an unqualified apology. Mr. Speaker, listening to the minority whip who fell victim to the act of contempt, some form of mitigation has been done. The lady rendered an apology. She did. Whether the apology is satisfactory or not is another matter. And so, Mr. Speaker, rather than escalate the matter by making a referral to the Privileges Committee, I would pray you to, Mr. Speaker, make mild consequential orders so that the lady is asked to render a second apology, this time around in a manner that may be satisfactory to the honorable and respected minority chief whip. Fortunately for us, Mr. Speaker, the Women's Caucus, and I know Honorable Doyo is one of the leading members of the Women's Caucus, have also made an undertaking to intervene in the matter and ensure that the lady in question does the needful by purging herself of the contempt. Mr. Speaker, with those few words, I want to pray that justice be tempered with mercy. All of us can fall victim to what the lady did, but once she has rendered the apology, even before this matter was raised on the floor, I think that her conduct should be mitigated and we allow sleeping dogs lie. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
So that's James Agalga, correct?
Yes, that's James Agalga.
And he was also appealing to the other side.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The next person we are going to hear from is Gavin Sagboja. He also made a similar appeal. Okay.
For the opportunity. Indeed, my colleague related to me when I entered the chamber. I did not witness what happened, but I've now watched parts of the videos that is available on the internet. Indeed, it wasn't pleasant, especially when our colleagues were only performing their duties as members of parliament. The incident is very regrettable, but I took consolation in the fact that my colleague confirmed that the individual involved actually approached and apologized profusely. Mr. Speaker, this individual is not one of the repeat offenders who denigrate Parliament repeatedly. So, Mr. Speaker, in brief, I was only going to say that I know my colleague is not a difficult person. And since the individual involved has apologized, I was just going to appeal to my colleague to let this matter rest. I'm sure the individual involved would have learned her lessons by now that when you come to Parliament on the invitation of Parliament. This is not a thoroughfare. You come here on the authority of Mr. Speaker. And when you come here, you must act in ways that actually protect the image of Parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, once again, my colleague has every right to pursue the path he wants to pursue. But I would once again appeal to him, since he has accepted the apology of the individual involved, let the matter rest here, and then we make sure that we work together. So once again, Honorable Arnold Domprey, the Minority Chief Whip, I want to take the opportunity to appeal to you to let the matter rest, and then we'll see what we can do together. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the justified request made by the Minority Whip of conduct he feels damages his standing and reputation as an elected member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, as I listen to him, we only can appeal to him that we share what the Honorable Member for Damangu said, that this House must stand united, indeed unanimous, in condemning the conduct and in demanding an apology and a retraction of it, but to persuade our colleague not to pursue further, wanting this matter resolved at the Privileges Committee. Mr. Speaker, the mention of it even on the floor of this House will send some warning to the public and non-members of this House that the Parliament of Ghana is clothed with both penal and disciplinary powers vested in it by virtue of Article 122 of the 1992 Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, contempt, you have been a torchbearer of wanting to preserve the honor and dignity of Parliament, the honor and dignity of members of Parliament, and more importantly, the honor and dignity of our political class. So, to honorable members, we do not and we should not accept that conduct and that insult. Today it is him, tomorrow it may be you. That is why we must stand united in condemning it. But to honorable minority whip, I'm pleading with you that because it's a woman, and you know Ghanaian society and our patriarchal values, forgive her. But before the forgiveness, as the Honorable Doyo, the Deputy Whip said, leader, the Honorable Mama Yarga, we should get the affected person to render an unqualified apology to the minority whip and follow with a retraction of the story, and that should let matters rest.
So that is the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, the Member of Parliament for Tamale South. Let's hear the Speaker of Parliament.
Let's hear Jerry Ahmed.
There's Ayaraga. Let's hear from the Majority Leader.
Let me appeal to our minority chief whip to reconsider his decision to invoke the provisions of Order 33, 34, 31, and 48 of our standing orders and make a complaint of contempt and have the complaint referred to the Privileges Committee. That's an appeal. That's an appeal. Mr. Speaker, under Order 34.1 of our standing orders, when a complaint is made, you may direct that it be referred to the Privileges Committee. You may. You may also give other directives. It is not that you shall, but that you may. The appeal that has been made by our side is that we give the lady an opportunity to apologize publicly to the minority chief whip and plead with the minority chief whip to pardon her and let the matter end there.
You heard the Majority Leader, Mahama Ayaraga there. Let's go over the telephone line and speak to former Tamale Central Member of Parliament, Alhaji Nusafasheni. Thank you so much, Alhaji, for joining us here on the Morning Star. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Good to have you. This is the first time you're speaking this year.
The last time I spoke to you was last year.
Yes. So it's a new year now. Well, there's a lot happening in relation to the Appointments Committee. A lot of people have, passed their own assessment with regard to how things have been going. Let me first of all just pick your general thoughts about how this current Appointment Committee is faring with regard to the vetting of nominees.
Thank you so very much, Dedei. Because we've had the benefit of seeing appointment committees for about 9 times doing their work. We appointment committee or vetting committee as regards what the previous committees have done, and the general public have issues the way and manner the vetting committee of the 9th Parliament is proceeding with this mandate. Hello now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I'm saying that you mentioned that you've had the opportunity to see about 9 of them, if I'm correct?
Yes.
And
8. This is the 9th one.
This is the 9th one. And how is this one faring?
This one is not faring so good. It's not starting so good because we've had issues with the being asked, bringing.
Yes, you said we've had issues with who and what?
The questions being asked. There are of those questions.
The quality of the questions.
The quality of the questions and its relevance. Okay, the quality, relevance of the questions, and the time. Me that, and to many Ghanaians, that there is a lot of time wasted within the committee.
All right. So, when you in your assessment, you're talking about the quality of questions, the relevance of the questions, the amount of time being expended on appointees. Some of the time you believe pure time wastage.
And absurd, just absurd.
And what could be the challenge? There are people that have said that, for instance, the chairman of the committee, yes, he has a lot of experience when it comes to the legislature, among others, but there are times he is expected to exert a certain level of control or guidance, but with that being absent, that's why we are seeing some of these things continue to fester, i.e. the irrelevant questions, the time wastage, among others.
Now, the chairman, from my assessment of him, and he was my colleague, and we sat in many committees and in parliament, and I'm close to. But my honest assessment is that he's not yet got the balance between patience and fairness or firmness right. And I have to be firm as well. But he's not yet gotten the balance right.
All right. Unfortunately, the connection is not so clear, and so it's impeding the conversation we are having. Some of his submissions get lost as we are talking, and so we'll try and re-establish contact with Alhaji Nusa Fusheni. Hopefully the connection will be better and we'll have a better conversation. But so far, we've been talking about the performance of the current appointment committee, and he tells us that, well, he has had the benefit of seeing 8 of them. This is a nice one. Not too impressive so far. Alhaji, can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yes. So you were saying that it looks as though he's not found a good balance between being firm and also being patient.
Yes, he's not yet found it yet. That's my view. I mean, he's a good legislator. He's very diligent. But it appears to me that he's not yet found that balance. You need to be patient with your colleagues, but you need to be firm as a leader. And in my view, he's not yet found the balance.
And that's the fact that, I was asking a parliamentary affairs correspondent as to whether, he was ever a member of the appointments committee. And he tells me that no, he was not a member of the appointment committee. Could that also be a reason? Could inexperience be part of it? Would he, let me first stay with that. Could inexperience be a reason for this?
No, he was the ranking member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. And that committee is just like a vetting committee. And so, if he was able to exert control over the affairs of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, I don't think that being a chairman and by virtue of the fact that he's first deputy speaker of Parliament should pose any challenges at all. Okay, so I don't think that is a limitation on his part for not having been the chairman of and all the chairman of the vetting committee have once upon a time not been chairman of the vetting committee and not even members of the vetting committee. And so it's by reason of the fact that a person is first deputy speaker, then automatically assumes that position as chairman of the vetting committee or appointments committee of Parliament. And so that is neither here nor there. And he in Parliament has commands a lot of respect on the floor of the House. And I can tell you that having worked with him in the other parliaments, especially in the 7th Parliament, I think that he has the mettle to be able to control that parliament, except that he's not finding that balance. He needs to balance fairness with patience. Because if you're not that firm, people will take your lack of firmness as and lack of boldness and decisiveness as a weakness, and they will exploit it. And that is what some members of the committee are doing. And because he's not stamped his foot firmly on the proceeding requirement, the minority started chipping away his powers. And now you can see that some of the majority members of parliament are joining in because they see weakness in him.
So, what can be done going forward to, structure the committee's sittings a lot better? Because, for instance, yesterday the question was raised about the majority chief whip, who was obviously frustrated, talked about the limitless time the ranking member was having in terms of asking his questions, and he said he was under a lot of pressure. At least there should be some guidelines, if it's an hour, if it's 2 hours, that the ranking is entitled to, so that things can proceed steadily. The chairman's response was that per the rules and per the agreement, they have unlimited time. So even if it is 3 days the ranking member wants to use, so be it. Should that be the way they proceed?
No, it cannot be the case that the ranking member of the committee will have limited time. That ranking member can ask questions ad infinitum. It cannot be the case. How can it be the case that you live in a civilized society and a member of a committee can have abundant time?
He says he can ask as many questions as possible, even if it will take 3 days. That should be it.
I'm happy the majority chief whip has come around to the position I've encompassed always. I have said that when you look at our constitutional history, it's happening in Parliament, and especially for members of Parliament appearing before the vetting committee. It appears to me to be an abnormality. In the 1969 Constitution, because of Westminster, and all ministers were members of Parliament, there was no requirement for vetting. A person is qualified to be a minister of state if that is qualified to be a member of Parliament.
You're saying that, in your view, vetting in itself, the vetting of the ministers in itself, is an anomaly? Is that what you're saying?
The vetting of members of Parliament is an anomaly.
Okay, so nominees, the appointees who are members of Parliament, you think they should not be vetted?
I think they should not be vetted. And that is why, and I'm coming, let me make my point and you understand. 69 Constitution. No appointee or nominee from Parliament, and all nominees were to be from Parliament. Because the requirement is that you must be qualified member of Parliament to be a minister of state. Since a person was elected member of Parliament, what other vetting requirements was there? Then the 1969 Constitution was truncated by reason of a coup d'etat, and we had opportunity again to do a third republic in 1979. In the 1979 Constitution, we went fully presidential system of government. One member of Parliament be a minister of state. So if you were a minister of state and you were a member of Parliament, you had to retire your post. The requirement that you must qualify to be a member of Parliament was then inserted. And so that was a requirement to ensure that those who were committee were other members of Parliament. And then, two, when we had another opportunity to establish our fourth republic, we experiences of 1969 with the experiences of 1969 and locked it in one constitution, where we said that a president can elect or nominate members of his ministers from members of or others qualified to be members of Parliament. So we locked it in, and so down because couldn't face regulate both members of parliament and non-members of parliament. The appointment committee now subjected ministers or nominees of president who were members of parliament to vetting. It's a considered view that a person who is a member of parliament nominated is otherwise qualified from the experiences of the 69th Constitution to be a minister of state. And it's not, there's no requirement for vetting. Now, the second thing is that you are vetting for what? Are you vetting of the parliament or ability? Vetting the member of parliament.
It's still the morning, Starr, here on Starr 103.5 FM. The connection is extremely terrible, and I really do apologize for it, and it's really beyond my control. And hopefully, if we re-establish contact with him, the connection will be better, and we can have a more fruitful conversation. It's still the morning, Starr, here on Starr 103.5 FM. My name is Dedei Tettey. We are talking to Alhaji Nusa Hussaini. He is a former member of parliament for Tamale Central. We're talking to him in relation to the appointment committee and all that, how it is faring, and what can be done to, smoothing the process that we have seen so far. Alhaji, yes, you were advancing your arguments in relation to the requirements that.
I'm just asking that now to achieve, or is it a political circus?
As in the vetting, are you questioning the essence or the relevance of the vetting?
I'm questioning the relevance of the vetting vis-a-vis members to be ministers. Because if you're a member
vis-a-vis members who are what?
Who have been nominated to be ministers.
Okay.
Questioning the entire process. I'm questioning that part of the process with these members of parliament to be ministers. Now, what is the vetting intended to achieve? Because, our experiences in the past clearly support this position. Spio was nominated to be a minister of state. Spio was not a member of parliament. Spio committee, he was asked whether he was a registered voter. He was not, so he was disqualified because a member of parliament must be a registered voter. It doesn't know that he was not a Ghanaian. He was not otherwise qualified to be a minister of state because he was not a registered voter. And that voter.
Yeah. But aside the concerns of the concerns you raised and all that, does how the members also conduct themselves? Downplay the relevance of the exercise.
Yes, so the second is because we have now chosen to vet everybody, there is a need for regulations. What are we vetting to establish? Now, in your view, what is the committee vetting to establish?
They want to see competence. They want to see if the individuals are competent.
What is the criteria for assessing the competence of that person?
Or qualified for the job? Sorry.
Qualified for the job in what terms? In terms of the person is a bankrupt, is a certified bankrupt, is it not a registered voter?
They want to know. They want to know whether you are conversant with the issues in relation to the ministry or sector you are going to head. I believe.
I tell you that if conversant with the ministry or the sector is a political question. So if a president nominates somebody who is not qualified, it's a political question. We say that the president is not taken as seriously. So next time we remove him from office. It's a political question. So what is our competence here? And what is the criteria, the hallmarks for determining competence? Now, what are hallmarks? I know how eloquent you are in English. What are the hallmarks? Okay, so or benchmarks for establishing competence. So my view is that the committee should spare us with needless waste of time, and when there are people who are members of parliament, when they are vetting people who are not members of parliament, they should limit themselves to the eligibility criteria established in the Constitution for members of parliament, because the highest standard is the standard set for members of parliament, and that everybody must otherwise, who wants to be a minister, must otherwise be qualified to be a member of parliament. And I was gladdened when the chairman referred to that standard. In one of the sittings, he referred to that standard, but failed, neglected, or refused to hold members of parliament who were on the appointments committee to that standard. Then the third position is that assuming but not agreeing to the fact that the members of parliament on the vetting committee can have unlimited time in vetting appointees or nominees of the president. There must be a criteria. There must be regulations. One, to establish what they can do, and two, to limit within which a member of parliament can subject or ask questions. Because asking questions ad infinitum is an abuse of office. Instead of time of all the people of this country sitting and watching. You want to watch the proceedings in parliament, and you don't know proceedings will end. You don't know the proceedings will end, and when the proceedings will end, and the questionnaire, particularly the ranking member of the committee, has unlimited time. You simply cannot plan your day.
So would you suggest that there'd be limits or time set out times within which the vetting is supposed to be done, or within which a particular individual is supposed to ask some questions, as had been suggested by the majority chief whip, who said if it is an hour we want to allot to the ranking, let's do so. If it is 2 hours, let's do so. But if it is going to be ad infinitum, then that cannot hold. Do you support that suggestion?
That has been my position from day one, even when I was in parliament. Even when I was in parliament, I have visited many parliaments. And now I'm not in parliament that gives an unlimited time to a member to do what he pleases on a committee. I've never seen a parliament like that, even in the European Parliament. You are allocated time. And when and you have to, confine what you are going to say to that time. And so it forces you to limit your time or your intervention to matters that. And when the time is up and you are not finished, the timer will cut off.
But do you think these concerns are coming up this time around because of the if I can call it so, the abuse of the limits? Because in the past we have seen ranking members not going to this limits or this length in terms of questioning a nominee, and so perhaps the assumption in the past had been that some form of discretion will be applied, and people would not exceed a certain limit when it comes to the questioning.
Exactly. It is precisely because there are no limits. And we have taught in the past that ranking members will do what is needful and right. That we feel neglected or refused to provide a guiding principle for questioning in the vetting appointments committee. Now we see that lacuna can have absurd consequences. Consequences like a ranking member in the whole country to a 4-hour vetting of a nominee on a matter that clearly to nowhere. Circus. We need limits.
Did you say it's a circus?
It's a circus. It's a circus.
Well, let's hope that they are listening, and then they would, do some changes so that there is some, certainty with regard to the amount of time each person will spend there.
Now, that was subjected to 4-hour vetting was approved unanimously. So, what was the ranking members taken to achieve?
It was on health grounds. The one in relation to the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta.
It was on health grounds.
See, he asked that he be let go so that he will come the next day because health did not permit him to sit for long hours.
Yes, I'm talking about Atu Fulton.
Okay.
I'm talking about Atu Fulton. He was subjected to long
yes.
And it was approved unanimously.
Mm-hmm.
So what was a long hour veteran intended to achieve?
Do you think that the long hours really is about getting information or establishing the qualification of or competence of the individuals that appear before the committee, or sometimes it's just a show of, is it bravado? I don't know what to call it.
So now, do you need forms to establish the competence of a nominee?
Well. We hope that there will be some adjustments in due course. But another issue, another issue that has come up for conversation is in relation to the Petroleum Commission acting CEO, her confrontation with the Member of Parliament for Nsawam Edredri, Frank Anodompre. Frank Anodompre on the floor of Parliament did tell the House that Madam Emefa Hard Castle did come to apologize, which he described as lame, and he wanted her invited to the Privileges Committee, to be held before the Privileges Committee for being in contempt of Parliament. Well, the Speaker says that on Thursday he will invite both parties, and Friday there will be a report on the matter. Has this whole thing been handled well? Was this avoidable?
Well, there was no need to invite in the Privileges Committee. There was no need. When it's a member of Parliament, and some members of Parliament, member of Parliament for 4 terms. How many times people have openly insulted?
I mean, to call a member of Parliament silly.
But if that is a member of Parliament, and if a member of Parliament does something which is silly, how do you describe it? And then voluntary non-fit injuria. That the statement of Hard Council was not directed at anybody.
It wasn't directed at anybody?
Yes. It was not directed at anybody. It was directed.
She was just speaking in the air. Is that what it was?
Yes. And so, if you assume responsibility for fighting that state, how can you?
Most people would disagree with you because when the heated confrontation was going on, someone did ask her that what is happening, and she said, "Is it not this silly child?" Pointing towards the way of Anodompre. And then Anodompre responds and says that she called me silly. Did you just call me silly? And then she says, I did not mention your name. Are you a silly child?
Are you a silly?
So you agree that it was not directed at him?
Yes.
Even with the context in that situation?
You heard mention Anodompre?
But in that time, she was having a confrontation with him.
That was subsequent to are you calling me a silly person? When Anodompre assumed that was directed towards him. Not so. That was when the confrontation ensued.
So you think that the need there's no need at all, or there was no need at all to bring in the Privileges Committee element?
So what I'm saying is that the Privileges Committee's mandate is invoked when an act seems to lower in the estimation.
In the eyes of the people. You don't think that this lowers Parliament in the eyes of the people?
How can an altercation between a member of Parliament and another public citizen of this country lower Parliament in the estimation of right-thinking people?
Essentially, for you, this is much ado about nothing.
No, you are also a reasonable human being. Between a member of Parliament and another citizen of the public lower in the estimation of right-thinking people.
So, like I asked, it's much ado about nothing.
Well, I think that Parliament is overreacting.
Alhaji, thank you so much for talking to us. We're grateful for your time.
You're welcome.
Right. Have a good day. You had to speak to Alhaji Inisa Hussaini. He is the former member of Parliament for Tamale Central. He says Parliament is overreacting in relation to this particular MFA Hardcastle Anodon Prayer fracas. And in relation to the appointments committee, says, look, there ought to be some guidelines, because it cannot be the case that a ranking member has an unlimited amount of time to ask questions. In the past, it had never been an issue, because a lot of people were quite reasonable about it and stayed within a reasonable time frame. But looks like this time around, it's going to unpredictable levels. So still the Morning Star here on Star 103.5 FM. I'll go for a break quickly. When I return, we'll talk about the horizon.